And we are going to start with our knees bent. So feet are on the floor. And let's take those feet a little wide. So they're a little wider than the hips. And then arms are along the sides and scooch the feet back. So there, you can press into them and start lifting the hips up. So as you lift those hips up, you might readjust the feet. So if it bothers the low back, when you do that, just bring the feet a little wider and just start floating those hips up and down. So as you inhale, lift those hips up, press into the shoulders, give the glutes a little squeeze to see if you can get those hips a little higher. And then when you come down upper back, middle back, low back, and then the hips are the last thing to hit. Inhaling up and exhaling down. Let's close the eyes and just tune in to the body, how it feels in this moment as we connect our breath and movement together. All right, the next time those hips hit the floor, pause there, move the arms out of the way a little bit so you can drop the knees from side to side, just windshield wiping from left to right. And then stretch those legs out long, reach the arms up overhead, interlace those fingers, press the palms away, and just stretch on out. Why do I always yawn when I do that? It's still early for me. Draw those knees on into the chest, give a little rock, a little squeeze on in, give that low back a little massage. All right, let's take those feet back down to the ground. Okay, lift those hips up, adjust those feet to where they feel like they need to be. We're not looking for the perfect bridge here. So it's too early in our practice for that. So again, the feet are wherever they feel like they need to be, so you can easily lift those hips. Wiggle those shoulders in just a little bit. We don't want the arms to be in the way. We just want them close enough that we can press into them. Inhaling up and pause. So press into the outsides of the shoulders, press into the feet, and think about the thighs moving up towards the ceiling, not just the hips. So we're trying to use some hamstring here, to those hamstrings as well as the glutes. And then think about drawing the chest towards the chin. I'm just pausing there. Again, we're not trying to get into our fullest, craziest bridge pose here. Just waking up the body. Come on down, wiggle those shoulders out so you feel your whole upper back on the floor. Once those hips hit, drop those knees from side to side again. Move those arms out of the way so those hands don't get squished by your thighs. Just wiggling back and forth. All right, let's drop those knees to the left and just let them fall there. Just let them get heavy and spin your ribs in the opposite direction. So draw the back side of your body towards the floor. Let that right arm just kind of flop open. And let's take it up and over to the other side. Noticing if there's any difference on this side compared to the other. And bring it on back to center. Hug those knees right back in. Give a squeeze, a rock. Let's kick it up into happy baby. It's a little early in our practice. We often do this at the end of our practice. So just notice how it feels to come in this early. Grab the below the ankles, the calves, even the back of the knees. And just let those feet kind of float above the knees best they can. Pull down into the center of the back of the hips. And then draw those knees towards the armpits. And then if it's available, you can grab those ankles or maybe even the heels, flex the feet. So we're trying to find this place. Let me flip around to this angle, right? Where our ankles are stacked right above our knees and our knees aren't just, we're not just like flying off really wide here. We're actually trying to keep those knees tucked in close as we pull the hips on down. And then over time, those knees slide a little closer to the floor, little and little. If it feels good to rock here, feel free to rock, only if it feels okay. Try to keep as much of the back of the hips on the ground as you can. Okay, let's release that and just hold one leg in place and stretch the other one out straight. So it doesn't matter which one, just stretch one leg out, bring it all the way to the floor and root that leg down. So flex that extended leg or the foot on that extended leg and draw the back of the knee down. So you're really active in that extended side. And then use both hands to kind of press that other leg down towards the armpit. So maybe you're grabbing the ankle, below the ankle. If I have long arms, so I can get to the heel, whatever you can grab to help get some leverage to push that knee down alongside the ribs. So again, keep the knee close to the body as you press down. Bend your extended leg, put that foot on the floor, and bring the ankle to the thigh. So this is why I use left and right, because it gets a little challenging at this point when we don't say left and right. All right, so we're in figure 4, and we're just gonna come in and out of it. So on the inhale, we're here. On the exhale, we're gonna bring that knee on into the chest, and then flowing back and forth. So in this case, it's my left knee coming in to the chest, bringing that right ankle closer. But for you, it might be opposite. I have got something going on here. Holy moly. Just flowing in and out. And then hold. So finding that just right stretch for you. Again, this is a pose we often do at the end of our class, end of our sequence. So just noticing how it feels to do it a little earlier in our practice. Finding that breath wherever you end up. And so you can either, I'm grabbing the ankle and pushing the knee away as I use that knee to draw the leg closer, or you can reach through and grab the back of the thigh or the shin. Try to keep the center of the back of those hips on the floor once again. And let's release that foot to the floor. And we're gonna release, because we're not doing lefts and rights, it's gonna get really confusing if I try and do more. So we're gonna do the other side for our half happy baby. So come on into that half happy baby, that other side that we didn't do yet. So take a moment to get that leg in position and then extend the other leg out. I know it's hard sometimes to like have teachers left and right, and it just gets like, if you missed a left or right, you get confused, but at the same time, if we don't use them, it can get just as confusing. So there's a method to our madness. Let's find the stretch on this side. Get really active in that extended leg. So really drawing it down, reaching through the heel as you pull that other leg on down into your happy baby. So you're in this half happy baby. All right, let's bend that extended leg. Take that ankle down to the thigh and coming in and out of our figure 4. So inhaling and then exhaling, lifting the foot up off the floor and bringing that knee on into the chest and just flowing in and out of it. All right, on your next exhale, when you bring that knee in, hold it there. I'm going to switch back to the other side because the other side was so tight. So if you find that in poses where it's easy like this to switch to the other side, back to the other side, feel free to do that. So if you've got a side in any pose that we do, and it's easy to get back to it on the other side, go to that tighter side and hold it there. So finding your breath again, wherever you're at, whatever side you're on. All right, let's release that. Let's bring those feet to the floor first and just drop those knees from side to side to release that. And then we'll stretch it on out long. Take a nice big inhale. And exhale, draw those knees on into the chest once again. Give a nice squeeze. And rock. All right, so we're going to come back to that similar sequence at the end, but let's rock and roll on up to seated for a moment. And come on into cross-legged. So just cross those legs and have the feet forward. So don't tuck the feet in really close, have them forward, almost like a mini fire log. Okay, so scooching forward, trying to get your ankles and knees in line with each other. So this front ankle is in front of that knee, and this one's underneath the other knee, give or take. So again, you might have to scooch those feet forward a little bit to do that. Let's grab those knees. Nice inhale into cow and exhale into cat. So as you come into these movements, we do them pretty frequently. Focus on when you come into your inhale and your cow, really pull the hips forward. If you're tight in those hips, you might feel a little stretch in those hips already, or the back side already. And then really draw those shoulders together. So hug those elbows into the body and squeeze those shoulder blades together. Really feel that upper back get active as you reach the chin up to the sky. So we're not just dropping our head back. So that's our cow. And then our cat, just rounding, pulling the hips back, drawing the head and tailbone together, flowing back and forth with the breath. All right, the next time you exhale, pause there in our kind of seated cat, rounding out, lean back. So like if you let go of your knees, you kind of fall backwards. So grab onto those knees, lean back, and your arms are straight. You're just kind of hanging out here. You're hanging back. Draw the chin into the chest. Draw your right ear towards your right shoulder. Don't turn the head at all. The head is staying straight forward as you just draw the ear down. And tuck the chin in a little more if it's available. Lift the head up, bring it over to the other side. Keep that breath going. And head back to center, slowly lift on up. Draw those shoulders back and down just like we did for cow, and draw it forward into a forward bend. Keep going until the body says stop. Wow, I have got something going on in my right gluteal area. Something with this piriformis maybe. And so take your time coming forward. Find that just right place. Maybe it's only a little bit. If you're really tight in the outside of those hips, maybe you get to come forward a little more. And slowly release. So let's unwind those legs and bring the feet to the floor and just drop those knees from side to side, like we did on the floor. And then drop them on over to the right. So let them just fall there. If it bothers your wrist to be kind of hanging out here on those wrists, you can come down to the elbows if you need to. So we're just dropping, and let's see if it feels okay to engage your core first when you do this. See if it feels okay to bring the right leg out and bring it on top. If that's too much, go back, just bring it down. We're focusing more on this left knee, kind of drawing down towards the floor. Okay, so we can kind of just be here, or you can have that leg on top and draw down. So as we do this, especially if we've got that leg on top, we're pulling the left hip and ribs back. We're trying to keep this rooted on this left side as we pull the knee down, getting into this IT band a little bit. It's inspired by my last class. So oftentimes I'll ask my class what they want today. And I had someone who's working on IT band stuff. So it's a little one for that. All right, let's bring it back to center. Get those feet even with each other and drop it on over to the other side. So again, engage your core before you lift that leg up and bring it on top and see how it feels on this side. And we'll give those wrists a little love in a sec if you're still up on your wrist. But again, you can do this down on your elbows. It's just a little different stretch. So it's just like our forward bends, right? So wherever we put our feet in our forward bend, so if we put our feet all the way together and hinge forward, it's going to stretch our legs differently. If we sit up and do this, it's going to stretch differently than if we're down our elbows, but none of it's bad. It's all good. Come on back to center. All right, so we're going to try that figure 4 again up here. All right, so you might need to scoot your feet away a little bit more to be able to get that ankle. Let's start with the left ankle. We'll do the same sides this time, so we're on the same side. to get that ankle up on the knee. You might have to go, if you're really tight here, you might have to go really forward with that leg. It's almost straight, right? And then you can walk your hands in to sit up and maybe grab your legs to sit up nice and tall. Okay, and you might be able to work a little deeper. You might be able to bend that leg a little bit more, but watch rounding in the back so that right foot is only coming as close as you can, still sitting up straight. Okay. So again, it's gonna be a little different for everyone. Let's sit up tall, pull that heart towards the leg, and release for the other side. So again, you might have to scooch those feet way forward to get that right ankle up on top of that thigh. And make sure it's the above the ankle bone, that, you know, the bony part of the outside of the ankle. Move that over and make sure it's on your thigh, right? Not on your kneecap. And then let's just start. Again, if you're not sitting up already, come on back, sit up, grab that foot and that knee, and then maybe you can inch that right leg closer. Or you can lean back again to get the leg closer. Sometimes it's hard to get the foot in and then walk yourself back in. The problem with that is oftentimes we can't get the hands back up off the floor, which is fine. You can stay here. This might be more effective. I'm just worried about your hands and wrists getting crabby. So if this is fine for you and it's more effective to have those hands behind to help you push up nice and straight and tall, then do that, right? But if it bothers your wrists or your hands to hold yourself up like that, then the alternative is going in reverse. So we're starting sitting up and then trying to bring that foot closer. Find that breath wherever you're at. All right, and let's release that down and take those feet a little wider, walk them in, get them nice and close, see how close you can get them, and wiggle those sitting bones back so you can get those elbows in between and push those knees open, draw those thumbs to the heart. This is our gentle variation of our yogic squat. This is the only one I can fully do. So maybe you can get those feet a little closer than mine though. All right, let's slide those feet on out till the legs are straight. And let's take them a little wider if you can. So get those feet as wide as they'll go with you still being able to sit up straight. So if you end up, again, rounding in the back and not being able to sit up straight, bring those feet a little closer so you can pull the hips forward and sit up nice and straight. And maybe you lift up and come back down so you're square on that bottom. And take those feet as wide as feels okay. Again, with that being able to sit up. Okay. And then if you're really tight here and you're barely sitting up, use your hands behind the hips to push forward. If it's available, those hands can come in front and you can bend those elbows and dive down. It's available. Find your breath wherever you're at. And come on up, bring those feet together all the way into Baddha Konasana, bound angle. So slide those feet as close as feels good and right for your body. As most of you know, I can't really get there. Although I feel like it's a little closer today than it has been. I started acupuncture and I've really been focusing on getting some range of motion back in this knee. I hit a plateau and got stuck and I'm like, okay, it's time to break through the plateau. So anyway, let's lean back again. And again, if all this leaning back on your hands isn't working for you, you can sit up and grab your ankles and do this bounce, but I like to do it leaning back a little bit. So bounce those knees up and down as vigorously as feels right and good for your body. And again, so hopefully your feet are much closer than mine. And just give a good bounce. So I'm gonna extend this leg out so I can show you what it would look like if I didn't have that knee thing. So if I could bring my feet into where they used to be, I can like get a really good bounce going here. So only as much as feels good. So if you've got inner thigh stuff and groin, you know, if it doesn't feel good to really get that fast momentum going, then you can go as slow as you know, go at the pace that feels good. But if you can get some momentum going, get some energy flowing in this, in our root chakra. All right, let's grab those ankles if you're not already. Let's pull those hips forward, draw those knees on down towards the floor. Find that long spine. And let's release. Let's take those feet on out again. Do we have time to even bother getting up off the floor? Maybe for just a second. Let's push ourselves on up off the floor. Let's turn those toes forward. So we have a wide stance, wider than usual. Our ankles are just a little bit wider than the hips. Straighten out those legs and hinge. Let's get into these hamstrings a little bit. So find that nice long spine, those nice straight legs, and pivot from the hips. So our hips are the hinges. Right? Or get our door frame, our legs, and then our torso is the door. So imagine that nice, door doesn't bend, right? It just hinges at the hinges. It closes at the hinges, right? So we're trying to close at the hinges, like we're trying to take this gap in between the belly and thighs and close that. And bend those knees, drop it on down into ragdoll. Let go, let go, let go. Drop that head. Drop, let go, let go, let go. Oh, it feels so good to let go. We usually don't let ourselves though, right? Let go. Can you let those arms get a little heavier? That head get a little heavier. I've got really long arms and kind of short legs, so my arms hit the floor. Yours might not. Drop that head. If you like that variation where we grab the elbows, feel free to grab the elbows. Now let's take our time coming up. So coming up with a nice rounded back all the way up. Head is the last thing to lift. Sweep those arms up. Bring it to the heart. For a couple rounds of Stafford Brahman, just to get some movement going. I've been going kind of slow. Yes, I can turn this into a gentle one, which is nice because I don't have a lot of gentle 30-minute videos on the thing. Oh, by the way, no more video library for those of you that are unlimited, long story, but we have a YouTube channel now that you can watch our videos on. So, so we'll have a gentle one on there. All right, bend those knees, hands to the heart. Nice inhale up, reach on up, straighten those legs. Stretch those arms out to a T, dive it down. And bend those knees a little, sweep those arms forward alongside the ears, reaching from the hips to the fingertips, and then drop it back down into a ragdoll. Let go, let go, let go. Now let's take our time coming up on this one. Let those arms dangle, that head stay heavy all the way up. Once you get there, stretch those arms out to a T, reach it up, nice inhale. Exhale, bend those knees, bring it to the heart. All right, so let's do it with the breath this time. Nice big inhale up. Nice, releasing exhale, dive it down. Keep going until you get that stretch in the backs of the legs. Half lift, bend the knees, sweep those arms forward. Inhale, reach. Exhale, let it go. Back down to our ragdoll, let go, let go, let go. When you're ready to inhale, come up all the way up this time in one breath. Inhale up, stretch the arms out, and exhale, back to the heart. Again, inhale. Exhale, dive. Big inhale overhead, bend the knees a little. Nice, releasing exhale, ragdoll, let go, let go, let go. Big inhale all the way up, stretch those arms out, and exhale up and back to the heart, bend the knees. One more time. Open those toes, drop the bottom down into our yogic squat. So drop your bottom as low to the ground as it will go. Mine doesn't get really low because of my knee. Okay, but keep that tailbone tucked, keep the belly in, Keep dropping that bottom down. There should be, hopefully, you've got better knees than mine, and your bottom gets much lower than mine. Take those elbows, push those knees open, push them away as far as they'll go. Draw the thumbs in, find your breath. And then kind of twist to one side so you can get a hand to the floor and drop the bottom on down, back to where we were. Already. Stretch those legs on forward. Hey, we got up to the feet for a moment. Wiggle those sitting bones back. Hug those legs on close. Flex the feet, so reach the toes towards you. Reach those arms on up. Nice inhale. Exhale, dive it forward. Reach, reach, reach. Inhale up. And exhale, dive. One more time. Reach, reach, dive, dive, and come on up. Let those arms float down. Wiggle those sitting bones back. Make sure they're back as far as they'll go. And then grab the backs of the thighs. Grab right on. Push the thighs down into the hands. So you can grab on, roll the shoulders back, open up the chest. And same thing we just did when we were standing, trying to close this gap between the lower belly and the upper thighs as you find your Paschimottanasana. And if you want those hands somewhere else, feel free. All right, let's release that. Bring it back down onto the back. Back to where we started. Feet on the floor, knees bent. So let's work towards having those feet a little more where they would be for bridge. So they're about 6 inches apart, give or take. If you have a block at home, you can measure with a block for most people. So most people, the block this way, that 6-inch side works. If you're a little wider hipped, maybe you flip it around to the 9-inch side. So somewhere between there and there is about where we want our feet. So if you have a block, you can put the block in between your feet. Hug those feet right up against it. Scoot your bottom as close to the block as it will go, and then come on back down. So if you don't have a block or don't want to bother with your block, then don't. If you have another block, you can take it on the thin side in between those knees. Okay, so we don't need to do that. Lift those hips up, get those ankles under those knees. On the inhale, press up and hold. So wiggle those shoulders in a little more, trying to get a little closer to a bridge pose. We didn't do a whole lot of warming up for the shoulders. So if you can't get those shoulders up, really underneath you, that's okay. Just as close as they'll go. If you can interlace, feel free, don't have to. And press those hips on up to the sky. All right, let's slowly bring it down. If you've got those blocks, if you're using those blocks, move them out of the way. And then drop those knees from side to side again. Okay, so let's hug the knees. Actually, let's stretch the legs up straight to the sky, like we're doing legs up the wall. Okay, and then cross the right leg over the left, like you're making an X. Let me go this way. Okay, so we're just crossing over. Bend the knees and drop the feet down. Pull your knees into your chest. So your legs are just crossed and you're pulling the knees on into the chest. Pull the back of the hips into the floor. You can stay here, or if it's available, you can reach down and grab the outside the shins or the ankles and start to draw the ankles towards the armpits, so towards the shoulders, as you pull the back of the hips down into the ground. So it's kind of like this reclined cow face. Keep that breath going. And release, stretch those legs on up to the sky. Cross the left leg over in front. So you're just making this X. Bend the knees, drop the feet down. Pull the knees on into the chest. Root down into the back of the hips once again. Find the breath. And then slide those hands down the shins if you can. If you can't reach your shins and this is already tight, just work on pulling those knees on into the chest and rooting down into the back of the hips. If it's available, you can start to draw those ankles towards those shoulders. Find that breath wherever you're at. And stretch those legs on up to the sky. Reach them straight up. So ankles are right above the hips, and then drop those feet on out wide. Let them just fall open. Close the eyes and just let the legs relax. Just let them get heavy. I promise they won't go too far if you just relax the legs, the inner thighs. And slowly lift on up, nice and slow. So you're using those muscles. Bend the knees, bring it into the chest. Once again, give a little rock. And let's see what happy baby feels like now. Grab those calves, the backs of those knees, your ankles, your heels, whatever you can grab. Pull those hips down into the floor, the back of those hips, that sacrum, and find your happy baby. Close the eyes, tune in. Does it feel any different now? Let's bring the feet together and down to the floor into reclined butterfly. So once again, just letting those legs get heavy. Let them fall open. Engage the core slightly if you need to keep the low back from lifting way off the floor. So if there's a little gap, it's not a big deal. If I could come and slide my fingers underneath your low back, then you might want to pull that lower belly down. Just let those arms flap open, close the eyes, find the breath. Soften the jaw. And just continue to tell those legs to relax, to release, to soften. Coming to that breath again and again. During any dance to which we surrender, the brain loses its controlling power. Can you surrender in this moment? Can you let go? Staying tuned in to the breath and the sensations in the body. If this gets to be too much, letting the legs just drop like this, you can extend them out into Shavasana if you like. I'm only going to be here for another couple of breaths. And so coming back to those feet on the floor, knees are bent. And dropping those knees from side to side. Stretching those legs out long, stretching those arms up overhead, taking a nice big stretch. Drawing those knees into the chest, give a little rock from side to side. And then coming on up to seated for just a moment to end our practice. These shorter practices are tough to squeeze everything in, but let's just take a quick sec here to close, for closure. Everything needs closure, right? Landing in cross-legged if you can, palms facing up on your knees. So those palms just face up, close the eyes. We'll finish the rest of that quote. During any dance to which we surrender with joy, the brain loses its controlling power and the heart takes up the reins. During any dance to which we surrender with joy, and I will say surrender, period. Whether it's with joy or not, we just let go. The brain loses its controlling power and the heart takes up the reins. Bring those hands up together and into the heart in Anjali Mudra prayer. Bowing down, saying thank you to yourself for taking this time here on your mat.